everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. It is early morning here. I think it's maybe 6:30. The sun is just starting to come up. And I'm out here in my garden really early today because we've only got another day of July left, which means where I live in mid-Missouri, it is hot. And so if I'm going to get much gardening done, I'm out super early before the heat of the day. I think the heat index today for our area is well over 100 degrees. So I thought I'd start with you all out here in front of the raised bed garden because I need to get in there and see what's growing and see what I can harvest. So I want to take you all along with me here in the raised bed garden, and I'm expecting to harvest vegetables that are ready, as well as probably I'm going to cut some flowers to bring into the house for some arrangements. So that's where we're headed today. Gotta get in the greenhouse here and grab my harvest basket and some supplies I'm going to need, and then let's get into the raised bed garden this morning. Let's get inside the greenhouse and just grab a few things that going to need this morning. I'm going to need my harvest basket. I think I'll take my couple of trowels, my hory, my nippers. Also, since I'm going to grab some flowers, I'm going to grab this bucket right here to put my flowers in. Let me tell you a real quick story about these buckets. So I just went to my local flower shop, and because I harvest a lot of flowers from my garden, I just asked them, I said, would they be able to give me any of their empty buckets, which is what a lot of their flowers come in to the flower shops. Or they use these just to keep flowers in water while they're doing arrangements, and said sure. So they gave me like 6 or 8 of these, which is amazing. So my motto is don't be afraid to ask for freebies, and you'll score. And that's what I did on these little black buckets. So perfect for sticking my flowers down in some water as I'm cutting them in the garden. Okay, so let's head in here and see what I need to take care of today. Well, no doubt what needs to be harvested from this area. Oh, my super sweet 100 cherry tomatoes are coming on strong. I'm going to have to find a fun little recipe for my cherry tomatoes, and also, of course, I'll be giving some away. Looks like I've got some other tomatoes. Those are lemon boys that I need to harvest. There's another lemon boy in there. It's towards the end of the season, and so the tomatoes are really winding down a little bit. I don't see many tomatoes over here that I'm going to harvest. Let's go around here on this side, however. And oh yeah, I've got a couple of beautiful celebrity tomatoes. I think, let's get in here. Everybody's been proposing that you harvest tomatoes now at the breaker stage, meaning before they get super ripe, because when they get really ripe and thin-skinned, they're more susceptible to cracking and pests. So maybe I'll go ahead and pull those and let them finish ripening inside in the kitchen. So I think I need to get to it. I think what I'll start with are the vegetables that I described. So it looks like we're going to do tomatoes, carrots, the golden beets, and the green beans. And then when that's accomplished, I will look at some of the cut flowers here and in another space, and hopefully get to take in some flowers in the house for a few bouquets today. So here I am with my carrots, and I'm really proud to say that I grew these from seed, and I grew 2 varieties. Let me pull my tag here. I've got New Kuroda, I think is how you pronounce it. This is Baker Creek seed on this end, and on this side I've grown what they call glow stick, which are supposed to be different colors of carrots. So I'm just going to kind of get in here and see what I can see. Carrots can be difficult to germinate for me, and so I'll be delighted if I get much of anything out of this bed. And ooh, I could just tell by the top of this one, that looks to be humongous. Wow. Let's see. Let's see what I got. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right, this one's got a couple of legs. Oh, let's see what's nearby. Okay. Oh, this one looks good. There we go. And here's a little baby brother. Look at that one. Who doesn't like a baby carrot? All right, let's see. Get some of these towards the edge of the garden bed. Let's see. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh. First of all, I love carrots. And secondly, I love roasting any kind of root vegetable. So, ooh-wee. That is going to be yum, yum, yum. Oh, here's a little... The other thing I haven't done much with is harvesting any of my beets. And I think I might have waited a little too long. But anyhow, my plan today is to clear out these beets, harvest what I can, because I'm going to take you along in the next few days. I'm going to do some fall sowing. So here it is, almost August the 1st. We won't have our first hard frost until mid-October. And so I'm going to make some space in the garden from things that I harvest, and I'm going to be putting in some fall crops. In my mind, I'm going to go ahead and harvest these beets before I bother rinsing my carrots. I'll just do both root crops. So let's see what we've got here. These are considered golden beets. Let's see what they look like. All right, there they are. We'll stick those in, and here's another one. All right, now that I've harvested my carrots and golden beets, time to rinse them off, give them a little rinse off. And I'm going to do it out here because they, of course, have a lot of dirt on them. Let's see if I can get in here and show you a little bit. This little garden harvest basket is amazing, as you can see how it's designed so that you can rinse things off outside, but sometimes I'll just rinse things off in the sink. I'll bring it all in and do my rinsing in there, and it fits perfectly over my sink. So I can rinse and just let the produce drip dry before I get ready to either use it or store it. So this is going to be so delicious. The other thing I need to do while I'm out here with the hose is fill up this bucket with a couple of inches of water, because this is where I'm going to put my flowers. As soon as I cut them in the garden, I'll put them in here and then take them inside so they can make sure they don't get dehydrated. So since I have tomatoes and green beans yet to harvest, I think I'll just put my carrots that I rinsed in this tray and some of the beets. This is just the initial rinse, so of course when I get them inside I'll clean them up. But now I've got my harvest basket for green beans and tomatoes, so that's the next thing on the list. Oh my gosh, so many beautiful little cherry tomatoes. I happen to grow the super sweet 100 variety just because they are massive producers and they are super sweet, just like the name says. But next year I want to make sure I grow sun gold as well. So in this bed I've got two of the Super Sweet 100 plants. Next year I'm going to do one Super Sweet 100, and oh boy, they're falling off. I'll have to pick those up. One Super Sweet 100 next year, and the Sun Gold. Look at those beauties. When I was a little girl, my mother grew a garden, and I have loved tomatoes forever. And when I was a little girl, I ate so many tomatoes every summer that I would get. Have you ever gotten what they call a canker sore from all the acid in tomatoes? But it was worth it because, gosh, I just had the morning, noon, and night, and I still do. There is nothing that compares to homegrown tomatoes, and I'm very proud this year that I think I've shared with you all several times. Over 80% of all the vegetables and flowers that I have grown in my garden this year, I grew and started from seed. And that's, for me, a very big accomplishment. Gives me a lot of satisfaction. All right, so enough talking, more picking. And so, yeah, I'll just... So I would say this was a great harvest of these beautiful little Super Sweet 100 cherry tomatoes. A couple of things I wanted to mention to you all. If you have seen some of my other videos, I decided this year to intersperse, especially my tomato plants, with basil plants, with the idea that I saw online that somebody did an experiment, and they said when they plant basil or any kind of really aromatic herbs near their tomato plants, it helps repel things like the dreaded tomato hornworm. Tomato hornworms, you know, are those big green caterpillars that can come in and they can defoliate your plants in one evening. I mean, they are voracious little eaters. And so anyhow, I thought I'd try that this year. Well, about 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, I had tomato hornworms that I was pulling off by hand and disposing of. But since then, I haven't had very many, and hardly at all in the last 3 or 4 weeks. And I think that's because my basil plants that I have in between, when the season just started, they were really tiny basil plants. So maybe they weren't putting off much aroma. But now that they've grown up a little bit, I think maybe they're doing their job. So I'm going to try that again next year. Not to mention the fact that we use a lot of basil in our cooking. So it's kind of a dual purpose herb for us. What else can I say? Oh, some of you may know that Super Sweet 100s are indeterminate tomato plants, meaning they will just continue to grow to an indeterminate height and size. And they continue, even right now, to produce flowers and put on more fruit throughout the season. These are in my big round cages, but next year, I think for some of my indeterminates that really get massive like these and taller than I am, I'm going to fashion some new taller cages for some of my biggest growing tomatoes. So, you know, there's always things to think about for next year's harvest. Okay, time for green beans. Oh, hello, Jerome. Everybody say hello to Jerome. Good morning. I think he's bringing good gnome magic to the green bean trellis. So let's just come in here. Check out these beauties all along the vines, and I'm trying to remember, I think it's Seychelles. Let me look at my tag. Yep, I grew these green beans from seed, and they are the Seychelles variety. They are known to be nearly stringless and very tender. And so my preference is to harvest green beans when they are young. The bigger they get, many green bean varieties get tough and stringy, and I don't want strings. I don't want to have to do that kind of hard work of stringing my green beans before I cook them. But before I harvest, I have to show you my Thunbergia. You all came along when I scored on these beautiful black-eyed Susan vines and planted one on each end to grow up, up, up with my climbers. So isn't that just makes you happy? Look at that. Let's go down here. This is an Arizona Sun Thunbergia, and it's not quite as vigorous as the other one. Let me come around here and let's take a look at it from the opposite side. But, you know, look how it's about this tall, so that's not bad. It's going to be growing. This has a very long season, so I just think that is precious. All right, so let's get after it. Time to harvest these delicious green beans. The sun is well and up, and so last thing for me to do is to harvest some cut flowers. This bed has my Zinnia Senorita variety. Aren't those lovely? They're a pinky salmon, and if you'll notice, they're a little different than a lot of zinnias in that the edges of each petal are sort of jagged or serrated. So I'm going to grab some of these. Now I'm going to try to do this while I'm holding it with one hand, the camera, so bear with me. But let me show you where to cut your zinnias. Zinnias are those amazing flowers that if you cut them, they will come again, but you have to be strategic. And so I am going to come all the way down to where there's two sets of leaves. I'm going to cut right here where my finger is. Let me do that. Try to do it with one hand. I've got my Felcos, my little nippers. Snip. All right, so that is how you end up with a nice stem. And what will happen is where I cut it right there, this stem, my lemongrass is really making it hard to see. Sorry about that. These two stems will grow up and produce more flowers. So what I like to do is, since I'm outside anyhow, I strip the leaves off because I'm going to use some filler in my arrangements. I don't need these leaves on here. And actually, when you leave a lot of leaves on your flowers, all that does is require more water to keep the leaves hydrated. So I'm just going to go around and harvest these. The other thing that's important, a lot of us know, a lot of you all grow zinnias, one of the easiest cut flowers to grow. You want to do the wiggle test. You want to come in, you want to wiggle it back and forth. If the head flops, it is not time. You want it to be fairly sturdy when you wiggle it, and this one is. So in this case, I'm going to go all the way down to where I see this little branch, and I'm going to cut right above it because that means that branch will eventually produce a flower. Again, nice long stem for my bouquet. All right, so I'm going to get after this, cut all of these, and then we're going to go find some dahlias and maybe some cosmos to cut. So now that I've got a few senoritas cut, and actually check this out. See this little yellow one? Nature is so random. That was in the whole patch with the senoritas. I'm not quite sure why, but it is cute, so I picked it. All right, so here we are at some of my dahlias. want to get some close-ups on some of these because I want to show you again sort of when the perfect time to harvest your dahlias are if you want to bring them in the house. And you can see if we turn this one around, do you see the back of that? That's a little past prime. So what I'm going to do is, because there's a bud here and a bud here, I'm going to just deadhead this. I'm going to take this spent bloom off. I'm not even going to take it in the house. I'm just going to come in here with my nippers, snip that, and let it fall so that all the energy now can go in. Oops, sorry. Energy can go in to these two stems. You know, dahlias have a very long life. They bloom all the way until the first hard freeze. So I'm not worried about sacrificing some of these. Here again, I've let this one go a little too long, so I'm not going to harvest that, but I am going to do just what I did on the other one. I'm going to come in and cut it right there. So this is what you would consider deadheading, so that the energy goes into producing this into a beautiful flower. Let's check these out. I don't know this variety. I'm so sorry, but I wish I could tell you, but it is lovely and they are ready. So here's one that's not ready. And here's one that is ready on the same plant. So I'm going to cut these much the same way. They are a cut and come again dahlia. So just like the zinnias. So I have two good stems here with buds. So this one's going to be a shorter one. Do you see that? But that's okay. When you find that you've got short stems, just find the right vase. So that'll go into a vase that can handle a short stem. All right, I'm going to finish up this bed of zinnias, and then we're going to look at cosmos. So I thought I'd get a little close-up view of the apricota. So they are in various stages of bloom. You can see this one. Ugh, no, I wouldn't want that. So I'm going to deadhead some of these. This one's past prime. You know, with cosmos, you got to kind of check on them a lot because they go in and out of bloom quickly. And so I'm just going to deadhead and let these old ones drop. And again, the idea behind deadheading is that if you get rid of these spent blooms, it can put more energy into producing new blooms like this bud here. So I'm not quite sure which of these I'm going to harvest. I don't know. I'll think about it and see if it's worth putting in my basket. Oh, but we have to pause here for that little bee who's enjoying the cosmos this morning. Yes, you are. Oh, nothing more satisfying than seeing pollinators on your flowers and vegetables. All right, I hate to cut those apricota cosmos while they have pollinators on them, so I don't want to take away his meal. So I'm going to come down here, and these are more cosmos. And I think my tag says white. Haha, what a great name. So yeah, so see how cute these are. This one again, past prime. I'm going to cut that one off, but I may harvest some of these for inside the house. So let me take a look around here. And again, I sowed some seed right by the cattle panel, excuse me. You can see where they come up so that as they get taller and taller, they have a little support. All right, so here are the precious metal zinnias from Floret Flower Farm. I am looking at. Yeah, I'm not sure what I think of this variety. In the past, I've grown the big Baneri giant, very saturated zinnias, and these do have their beauty. Precious metals, I guess they have sort of a silvery and golden subdued cast to the blooms, and so some people might find that attractive. And actually, I think they look better on camera than they do in person. I just find them to be too dusty and subdued for my liking, but very popular with lots of brides and things. They want all the soft, dusty colors. That's sort of on trend. And so, yeah, so there you go. So I am going to cut it. So a few more minutes left, so time to leave the raised bed garden, and actually I want to head over to the south side of the house where I have one little box that I grow some cut flowers in, and I've got dahlias over there. So let's go see what we can harvest from that to add to my bouquets. So here's my bank of Baptisia or false indigo, and I think this represents 5 of those shrubs or perennials, and just want to bring you in here close up so you can see how beautiful this foliage is. I mean, it makes the perfect filler for flowers. So yeah, I'll just get in here and cut some of these stems to take them inside, and you'll be amazed at how this adds to an arrangement. Well, I would say this was a fun harvest morning in my garden. We've got veggies, we've got beautiful flowers, we've got that Baptisia I showed you to cut that's going to go into our bouquets. I'm feeling pretty good about today's harvest. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you so much for coming along with me as I was harvesting what I could on this next to the last day in July in my mid-Missouri Zone 6 garden. Whew, it's going to be a scorcher today, so even though I'm already sweating at 8 a.m., I am so glad I got out early and took you along with me to see what I could harvest. So if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe so I can grow my channel and bring more garden adventures to other folks just like you. Have a great day, everybody, and as always, I wish you happy gardening.